Hi, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Door to Door. I'm Virginia Stanley, joined by my trusty colleague,
Chris Connolly. Great to see everyone.
Thanks so much for joining us today. We have two really special authors with us today and a special guest, in addition to our special guest authors. We have Kate Baer, author of I Hope This Finds You Well. She's also the #1 New York Times bestselling author of What Kind of Woman? There you go. Instant New York Times bestseller. And we have Jayne Allen, author of Black Girls Must Die Exhausted, self-published phenom, and now we are the lucky publishers of this trilogy by this fabulous author. We have these two wonderful writers, these women of words, and their words are important and powerful, and two very different messages, but sort of the same in the same strange way. Joining us also is a very special guest, Mary Gowley. Hey all. Associate editor of Harper and Harper Perennial. And we're so thrilled that you've joined the conversation, and we'll be bringing you back in with Kate in a little bit. But right now, we just thought that we would, I don't know, just have a little informal conversation before we have a more informal conversation individually with these wonderful authors. So Kate and Jayne, thank you so much for coming on today to talk to everyone about your books.
So good to be here. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for having me. It's exciting.
So, this is, as I said before, this is very informal and very conversational. And this is the first time that you both that you're meeting each other. And I just think that you both have such interesting backstories and such interesting journeys to where we are right now with these books. And I just wanted to know if you wanted to just say a little something to each other or to librarians who are all watching and eager to hear what you have to say in general.
Well, I feel so lucky to meet Jayne. I ordered her book this morning. It's gorgeous cover, by the way, just beautiful. And I can't wait to read it. It's an honor to be in here with you.
Thank you.
Look at it. I want it framed in my house. It's so beautiful.
Thank you. It's an honor for me. I actually have read your poems, and I think it's so beautiful to be able to give words to people, especially when they need them in ways that they need, when they can't find them for themselves. And that's just something so close to my heart, and just to allow people to be seen. So to be with a person that has such a special spirit, to be able to give words and voice for people is really an honor. So I'm really excited to meet you, Kate, and have the conversation.
Yeah, same. Yeah.
Should we can keep talking? Because
I'm trying to think we should just get started. But I just think that this is such a unique opportunity, and to have Mary here to talk with you, Kate, when we'll get to that in a bit.
I mean, I have a million questions for Jayne, but
too,
I don't want to take away from her time. I'm guessing that she will be asked those questions. So I'm just so looking forward to her segment to hear about her. Yeah.
Well, what we can do is Kate will put you in the green room with Mary, and you all can eat virtual M&Ms. And if there's time, we can bring you back, and then you can ask the questions of each other.
Sure.
Sometimes that happens. We'll put one of the authors in the green room, and then we'll bring them back. It's whatever anybody's schedule is, and it's always just a really cool conversation because we all learn a lot more about each other after the 20 minutes or so is up. So we can do that too. All
awesome.
right. So all right. Well, without further ado, Kate, Mary, enjoy the M&Ms or the shrimp, whatever you have in your fridge. Mary, okay, Mary's gone. Hi. That was cool. Oh, Jayne, Black Girls Must Die Exhausted. Oh, I have a wonderful email that I have to read from our librarian friend Jennifer Winberry, and she is so sad to miss the live episode, but she'll be watching the rerun. But she has a lovely quote that she said, you don't even have to ask her, read it, but it's just so wonderful. She just loves Tabitha, as do I. We have to get into it. But first, so first off, this book was self-published in 2018, and congratulations for all the love that book has received. The books have received, and now HarperCollins is its publisher, which we're at the but we benefit from this greatly because it's really, you have been everywhere with this book. You spoke at the American Library Association conference about this book. You've spoken to staff virtually about this book. And now you're here talking directly to librarians about this book.
Yeah.
So thank you for taking the time.
Thank you. This is my pleasure.
Well, so let's start. For those who don't know what Black Girls Must Die Exhausted is about, do you want to give them just sort of a little framework?
Sure. So this is a story of Tabitha Walker. She's a 33-year-old woman. She is a Black woman. She's living a societally crafted experience of Blackness. That's what I like to call it. But that is not the focus of the story. So Tabitha is a woman in her 30s and she's living her best life, so she thinks. You know, she's doing a great job with her checklist. And she has a health crisis, a fertility crisis that comes out of the blue, that is a wake-up call to her that that she has to figure out what she really, really wants. And I think a lot of us have these moments which seem like crises, but are actually opportunities to wake up to, oh my God, this is the word I've been living in my life. And for Tabitha, the word she's been living in her life is exhausted. She didn't realize it. She didn't know, but now she knows. And now she has this opportunity to change that word. And so that is the crux of the story, you know, her trying to live out her dreams along a different kind of plan where the script has now been torn up. You know, she had she's a great job. She's, you know, the job of her dreams, or so she thought. She has this, you know, paper perfect boyfriend and really supportive friends. And then she's a very interesting and somewhat dysfunctional family, as probably many of us do. And so she's got to redefine family for herself and figure out what her best life really, really looks like from a space of fulfillment. And even more importantly, she needs to figure out what that word is that she really wants to live, instead of the word that she's been kind of sleepwalking through in her life. And I think one of the more important things that I wanted to do, which was kind of ambitious, this is my first novel, but I wanted to craft a story of, you know, contemporary womanhood and place.
I'm going to stop you for one
yeah.
second. Your wire is hitting the microphone.
Oh, okay.
Chris, are you hearing that?
I'm hearing a little crackling. Let's see if.
Okay. So I talk with my hands,
That's fine.
Thank you for letting me know.
No, I mean, you know,
It could also be my earring. But let me know. I'll try to keep it between 10 and 2 so we don't do that. Okay.
No, that's fine.
I definitely want you to hear.
Absolutely.
Yes, but one of the really important things for me with this story is to give a story of contemporary womanhood from the perspective of a woman that's also living the experience of Blackness in contemporary society, but not make the story about Blackness and not take all the gravity out of this woman's journey just through, you know, how she's experiencing race, but to give a very honest and kind of accurate portrayal of how it intersects life on a day-to-day basis in ways that you wouldn't even think. So that was kind of the challenge that I presented to myself of, you know, what does it really feel like? It's, you know, what does it feel, the experience of Blacks from a contemporary perspective? I want to write a story about something else entirely, but be authentic to that experience and make it meaningful to center a Black female protagonist, you know, not give her an authenticity, and make it meaningful that part of the journey is that she happens to also be a Black woman. So that's what I set for myself there. And I like to focus on character development. That's been the real fun for me, is crafting these people. Her grandmother happens to be white, and they have a really intimate relationship that allows them to have discussions that on a day-to-day basis we don't often have opportunities to have. It's just past the point of everyday courage, is what I would say. And she has two friends that are living two different experiences. One got married really young, and one is kind of trying to figure out her journey. And she's the strong friend that seems like she has it all together, but everybody is holding a secret. Everybody. And so it's just great to see these stories unfold and to kind of put these characters in play with each other and let the story unfold and see Tabitha's journey. And hopefully it gives people who read something that they can learn from for life, and not just, you know, it's great entertainment, but also something they can take away as something to learn from for life.
Well, I think, and I think you write in the, yeah, you do. You write in the note to the reader, you address that, and
Yeah.
how is this an every person's story? But it's not. I mean, it is, but it's not,
Yeah.
because it is a woman of color. It's her
Yeah.
story.
Yeah.
And so while infertility and obviously affects everybody, but the way that it affects her, and it's her own journey, and yeah, and God, I love her grandmother, and that's a
Yeah.
whole sub story right there.
Yeah.
One of the things that I found choking, it's early on in the book, is when she's pulled over.
Mm-hmm.
That part is, I don't mean to be a play on words, but it's arresting.
Mm-hmm.
It's it's holy God, what is going to happen to her? What is he going to do? And you can feel her. That's where it's different. That's where you start out, and it's like, no, it's different. It's not the same. Can you talk about
Yeah.
that scene? I found it extremely
Thank you.
powerful.
Thank you. I wanted to give the reader, whether, in society we have different experiences based on, how we're defined. And we have this thing called race. We're trying to figure out what to do with it, but it's there, and it means something in life. And I wanted to show what it means, what it does, and try to really dive deeply into that. And I call it tears in the fabric of your everyday experience. For me, that's what it feels like. That's how I would describe it. And so for this particular woman who is living her life experience as a Black woman, when she gets pulled over by the police, her day is going, it wasn't
Yeah.
going great. It starts out, her day wasn't going great. But now
Yeah.
she gets pulled over. That's nobody's, everybody's like, oh crap, but for her, she's like, oh my God, now it's a life and death experience for me, because I don't know. How do I know? And that's a reality. And I think it's important to acknowledge that, because it creates something within. Now, maybe, I'm not going to give away how it turns out or what happens or what doesn't happen. And it almost doesn't quite matter, because you've got to go through the experience of whatever might happen, no matter what. And that has an effect on a person. And I think we don't talk about that enough. And I think this book gave the opportunity to explore what that effect is. It has an effect on a person. And, I think if we can do more exploration of that and more diving into, I think it's worth examining. It's worth feeling into. And I didn't know if it would be fully relatable. I hoped it could be a discussion. And all I wanted from the reader is to say, I understand. Oh, I get it. I see why,
Yes.
and I don't have to agree with what happened, or her or him or anything, just that you could understand. And that was the point and the goal of that. And the one of the highlights of my experience with this book, when I first wrote that, this was one of the first things I've ever written in fiction. And that scene and that chapter, it was really important to me to do something authentic and meaningful and powerful, and really, let the reader know this is, buckle up. This is a ride I'm taking you on. Hopefully you trust me with, your time, and understand that this is going to be meaningful. And so I have a friend who's a writer, and she is a white woman. She is French and lives in Europe. And I shared this with her. She's married to a woman, and she wrote to me back almost immediately, and she says, "Oh my God, is that how Black people feel in America?" And I was like, "Well, I don't know. Like, unpack that for me. What do you mean?" And she was like, "Well," she's like, "Of course I can't relate directly, because I'm not her, but the feeling that it evokes for me is the feeling I feel when I'm walking with my wife, and if we hold hands as two women together, we don't know if we're going to be accosted from any direction or what might happen to us, and we know we don't feel safe, and we don't know. It could be a day that nothing happens. It could be a day that everything goes wrong, and we have no way of knowing. the moment that happens, and that's my wife, and that's, and you know, and that's where that feeling, it brought me that feeling. And I said, you know what, I that's an experience that you're describing for me that I haven't had directly, but it sounds like we're on the same page. It sounds like we're speaking the same language, and to be able to bring people to the same page, to be then talking about the same thing, even from having different experiences, that's the greatest gift for me. You know, that's the greatest compliment I could receive as a writer. So I'm hoping that that's what happens with this.
Yeah, I think it's really interesting that very interesting that your friend had had that experience. Having a wife myself, I don't even know if I thought of that. All I thought was, I understand, or I can empathize, or I'm afraid. I'm afraid for her. You know what I mean? And I think it was really important that you put that in the beginning of the book to set the tone. Because we're the same, but there's a difference, and that difference, you know. Why, and Chris, I'll let you jump into it. I wanted to ask, why did you make her grandmother white?
I really wanted to examine race in this book and not make the book about race. So to examine something and to not make it about it had to be really authentic. I mean, it had to be character centered, character driven, and just in the most authentic way. And so I thought, okay, how can we really examine this without fear, without, you know, past the point of everyday courage? And it had to be a family member that was very close to her, that was white, so that they could have this space of kind of examining, exposing, talking about, you know, unpacking. And so at first I thought, oh, maybe it's a parent, but I'm like, no, can't be a parent, because that relationship, there's still a lot of baggage that comes along with that. But a grandparent, that is usually a space in a functional way of pure love. You know, it's you don't have the obligations of having to be the disciplinary. You can just love that child in this such a, you know, pure way. And so I had an amazing relationship with my own grandmother, both of them, and I just wanted to kind of bring that energy as best I could into the book, and also from the way that I knew it, that love and that just the beauty of it. And it really allowed me to relive my relationship with my grandmother, and to give them the space to talk about anything, and to show generationally also the effects of womanhood, the experiences of womanhood, and the effects of race, because this is a woman who married a Black man, her grandmother. And so race affected her grandmother too, in many different ways that you see in the book, which I think are kind of cool. It's not just her marriage, but also her childhood. It affected her, and also as a mother, and she's white. And so, but it still affected her as well. And so, and it, you know, so it was just so authentic to me. It seemed like the right thing to do, the right people, and it was just a beautiful experience to be able to craft.
Yeah, I mean, and you can the love that they have for each other. I mean, it's just beautiful the way you have her, you know, putting her head in the crook of her neck, and it's just like, it's so beautiful. It's so beautiful. I loved her, and I love that you. I think you even said that they were like twins but separated or something. She was Tabitha. It's really great.
They share a name. Yeah,
they share a name, right? Yeah. So great, so great. I love it. Chris, do you wanna? Is there something? And I've got to turn on Facebook because I don't know if we've got questions. So
yeah, and we do have questions, comments, and we'll definitely get to those. And I'm, you know, so any of you viewers who are unfamiliar with Jayne, your experience in a multitude of skills is incredible. I mean, you're working as an attorney and an entrepreneur. What drew you towards approaching all these important topics through a novel, as opposed, you know, I feel like you could do anything you want. What drew you towards writing these things in the form of a novel?
You know, thank you for that. That's an interesting question. I've always been a writer, and I think, you know, in life, I didn't know any authors growing up. I knew as career paths, you know, you can be a doctor, you can be an accountant, you can be, you know, and I did not have someone like, oh yeah, you could be an author, you know, but I would always write. And so for me, it's kind of been my gift, you know, and to communicate with people, to inspire, to whatever it is that I wanted to do, I'd always put it down in words. If I really wanted to give somebody the best part of me, and if I was looking for the best part of someone, I would look for words. And when I came up with the idea for this book in 2016, I'd written some nonfiction books. So before, anytime I had a lesson that I thought was important that I learned in life, or something, you know, kind of cool, I just put it in a nonfiction book and put it out and say, okay, going on with my life, you know, and whoever needs it will find it in the world. And when it was around 2016, and it was, you know, there were a string of issues of people who died, you know, in the hands of you know, police issues, and it was Black people one after another. We were in a vitriolic political environment, and as a woman, as a Black woman, I felt like, oh my gosh, this is heavy, and I can't look away from anything, and I just feel like there's just so much in my backpack, you know, that I'm just carrying so much, and I can't be the only one that feels this way. And so I wanted to write something that would be an acknowledgement of that, like, just, I see you, you know, I see you every, you know, and then just celebrate the structures and the people that keep all of us that feel that way standing. You know, all of us carry stuff in our backpack, whether it's from one of the layers of gender or race or sexual orientation or family structure, any one of those things. We carry those things in our backpack, and there are structures and people and things that keep us standing from day-to-day experiences that would otherwise tear us down, you know. So I wanted to write and craft something that could be an acknowledgement, and then a celebration, and then just flip the whole thing and turn it into inspiration. So the course of Black Girls Must Die Exhausted as a title in a book, it means different things at different points of the book. So it does not mean the same thing when you get to the last page as it meant when you open the book and you start the book. And so I had no idea how to write fiction, but I felt like I could entertain people. I wanted to do a couple of things, because for me, I was really, really busy. I was traveling 150,000 miles a year for work. And I, you know, I couldn't remember the last time I finished a novel. And so I was like, well, what would make me finish this book? What would bring me into reading instead of, you know, other forms of entertainment or consuming something? What would it need to be? And so I said, I'm going to write the book that I would want to read, that I'll finish, that I would finish. And so that was my goal. And I had to learn how to write fiction. I took some courses and you know, got some new skills, and just kind of hunkered down and thought, I'm going to put the best of what I could craft into this work, and hopefully with the intention that people coming to it, it will feed their soul, it will entertain them, it will make them laugh, cry, and talk to a friend, you know. And if I can do that, then I think I've done something, and maybe start some important conversations around really important issues like infertility, like mental health, and help people maybe even understand the experience of race, where I think a lot of us have questions about it. And, you know, what is this? You know, maybe start to open that door to really thinking about this, so that we can hopefully kind of join hands and move together forward. So that was my thinking. You know, history will tell us, you know, how well I did with that, but that was my ambitious goal.
Well, you know, I think history will say wonderful things. Your contributions have been terrific. And Chris, thank you, because I just dove right into the book and didn't give you any introduction. I don't know what's wrong with me, but I do want to mention that you're a graduate of Duke University and Harvard Law School. In your bio, it says that as an attorney and entrepreneur, you've brought your experiences to craft transcultural stories, and which this is, and touching on contemporary women's issues such as workplace, career dynamics, race, fertility, modern relationships, and mental health awareness. You've packed so much into this book, but it seems effortlessly, but it couldn't have been, because it's so, all the words are so carefully chosen and the characters are so beautifully drawn and their voices are so authentic, you know. We have questions that we have to get to, but can you just talk for us a second or three? And we have a couple of links that we're sharing in the chat room, or at least one. Chris, is that one? You spoke twice at the American Library Association. And one was alongside Gabrielle Union. They were two separate interviews with their authors, editors. And Chris, is that the one that we have up?
That's the one we shared. Yes, you can watch the Think Fit panel.
Think Fit. Right. And somebody in the comments mentioned that. And you were also in another one, which we don't have rights to share. And that was with Wanda Morris, our other author, who, and you both spoke about your publishing journeys. I find your journey interesting, that you went from self-published to published by Harper. If you can do just a couple of minutes on that, and then we'll get to some questions, and then we'll bring Kate on.
Yeah. Well, so I knew starting out, I wanted to do what I wanted to do. So I wanted to do something different. I wanted to break the mold. You want to break a few things and and just really do what I thought people might want, and even people who haven't read in a long time or haven't finished a novel in a long time, which I kind of been one of those people too. I'm like too busy, I have other forms of entertainment. So I came to this thinking, okay, I'm competing for entertainment hours. You know, somebody that might read my book would also spend 8 hours binging a Netflix or you know, series or watching a reality TV show, but I want them to want to pick my book up instead of that. And that's a tough thing to, you know, go after. But you're gonna have to, you know, break a few eggs to try to do that. So it's not gonna fit into a mold. It's gonna be different. It's gonna look different. It's gonna read different, sound different. And the way that to do that was to go and make sure that I did the self-publishing route, because coming from the music industry, I understood and knew that to kind of open a market and do something different, sometimes you just have to prove it and show it, and then you know, people will come along. So I just believed that it would attract its audience and kind of show and maybe open the door for new kinds of stories and new approaches. And, you know, I just wanted to have that leeway. So thankfully, you know, it did find its audience, and it's really been a collaborative journey with me and the readers. I mean, even the way that I wound up coming to Harper was through a reader who made another introduction. And so it was always a collaboration with me and the readers, you know, whoever the readers would be and whoever the audience would be that became attracted to this work. I thought it was just so important to get it out there. And I could not be happier that the Harper Perennial team, the HarperCollins team came along to amplify this. And I hope that we hear more stories like this, where, you know, artists will put something out and it kind of makes its way and then gets amplified. I think that's beautiful, because now we've kind of done something new together and different. And it's been a collaboration, which I'm really, really proud of. And I just couldn't ask for a better team to be on. And I just love what we're doing together. So to me, it's amplifying not just my work, but the voices of readers who are saying, thank you for allowing me to be seen. You know, thank you for doing this, you know, or for shedding light on these, you know, topics that I don't read about enough. Thank you. There's a lot of thank yous, and a lot of people saying, hey, this is like the first time I finished a book in a long time kind of comments, which I think is amazing. So yeah. I just am really proud of what we're doing together.
Well, that says everything. It means you're connecting. It means that the writing is authentic. All right, oh my goodness, it's 2:55, but let's just get to a couple of these questions, and then if you can. All right, so Casey Davis says, since the story is primarily represents choice and perspective, would you have changed anything if you had written this novel after the pandemic? And we'll have to keep the answers kind of short, because we're short on time.
So thanks, Casey, for your question. And I think I would have kept it the same. So people ask me, you know, would you add in the pandemic perspective? And I wouldn't do that per se as a direct layer, but in the third book, there is going to be a bit of a correlation from that experience point. So there's some, the way I think about it is, you know, what's the universal base level takeaway from this that makes it a universal kind of experience that you can understand. And so the way I process the pandemic as a writer is thinking, what's the universal base level experience that is a takeaway. And so you'll see some of that in the third book, but it won't be a pandemic. But Tabitha will have an experience, and I'd love to. Hopefully, we can circle back, and I'd love to hear if you identify it.
Chris has a question from Abby Burke.
Yeah, let's see. So Abby Burke says, as a white woman, there are things I feel I can relate to in this book, but also things I know I can empathize with, but never know fully. Do you have a target audience with this story, and what you hope readers will get out of it most?
So my target audience has just been hopefully something that everybody can relate to. And I had different purposes I wanted to serve with the book. So I did want to acknowledge and write something that would feel authentic to Black women who read it, who would be able to say, yes, you know, give me the stamp, because that's a big thing for me. And then for non-Black women who read it, and there have thankfully been many, you know, all ethnicities, to have it be as a human story, and to have make sure I did that, where it is a human story that you can relate to as a human being. Or even if you're not a woman, if you're a man that reads it, or whomever, you know, whatever you know, if you're a human that reads it, then you say, this is a human story. I can relate to these humans in this book, and I can see the layers of their experience and understand them, you know, and that's really what I wanted. So I just wanted to make sure that I was delivering those things to whoever this book happened to land with. So I hope that it's universal, that it could be read from, you know, by anybody, and they say, this is a human story that I think is important and moves me.
Well, I think just based on the reaction of so many people who've read the book, people online who said, oh my God, I read this book and loved it, that librarians have gotten their e-galleys ahead of time and in-house. And us, I mean, yeah, it's a human story. I love that you just said that. So unfortunately we have to close, but I am saying Kate Baer. Do we know Kate Baer? She'll be coming on next, and she's saying she's loving Jayne's perspective on writing and publishing, and so are we. And yeah, you can listen to her, and if you want to come back at the end, we'd love to have you.
I would love to. I'm going to stick around, definitely.
Awesome.
Okay,
great. Okay, we'll bring you back on.
Okay, perfect.
Jayne, thank you so much. We're thrilled. Again, Black Girls Must Die Exhausted. It is absolutely wonderful. It's coming out in September, and we are so thrilled to have you under the roof of our house.
Thank you. I'm so glad to be here.
See you in a little bit. Let's bring on
right.
Kate. Kate
Thanks,
and Mary.
Jayne. We'll see you again soon. Oh.
Hello.
Oh, hi
there.
Can we all hear each other?
Hi.
Yes.
Hi, Kate. Hi, Mary.
Are we live right now?
We're live. We are live and alive.
That's what it says. It's now streaming live.
Yep. Librarians are watching, and they're really excited. So I'm going to turn it over to Chris to introduce Kate.
Yes. So yeah, it's my honor to introduce Kate Baer, author of I Hope This Finds You Well, which is coming in November 9th. And you're also the New York Times bestselling author of the poetry collection, What Kind of Woman? So as mentioned, you're based in the East Coast. You're a writer and poet. Your work has regularly been featured on Romper, Cup of Joe, Huffington Post. And again, What Kind of Woman, your debut book, was a #1 New York Times bestseller. So we're thrilled to have you on the program.
Thanks for having me. It's so fun to be here. And Jayne was absolutely lovely. And I can't wait to read her book. She's a joy. I just really enjoyed that.
Well, we'll be bringing her back on the end so we can say our final goodbyes and hellos. And again,
Sure.
Mary, Thank you for joining us as well. Mary, you're the editor for both books, in fact. So we're honored to have you on the program. This is your door-to-door debut.
It
Welcome.
is. Thanks. Yeah, I mean, working with Kate is, oh my God, it's the best thing that's ever happened to me. Not to be hyperbolic.
Oh my gosh.
I love working with Kate, and I love her. I mean, it's just so special to edit poetry. It's so different from editing anything else I've worked on, and then to edit I Hope This Finds You Well is like a whole different ball game. I mean, for Kate writing it, and then also as an editor, because we're working with these messages. Like, I can't just add in a word here or there. It's like we're working with what we're working with, and I don't know. I just feel like I'm sure a lot of people feel this way. We've been through a lot the past year. This summer has been a tough one for me. And I pride myself on being able to read for pleasure most of the time. I've really struggled the past couple of months. But Kate's galley of I Hope This Finds You Well was the first thing I was able to sit down and like, even though I've read it so many times, and it just, I don't know. I just think there's something so special about taking things that are ugly and making something beautiful from them, which is what Kate does in this book. So it's just very special, the whole process.
Wow, I think that's beautifully put. And Kate, thank you for bringing these words. There's just like the beauty of words amidst, so much potential ugliness. There's just something very freeing and enlightening about it. Could you introduce viewers to your work, maybe starting, with your original collection, What Kind of Woman, and then where you wanted to take your poetry from there to bring us this new collection?
Sure. Yeah. What Kind of Woman? Here she is, right over here. Came out last November, right in the pandemic, which was obviously super unexpected. And it was a real bummer. At first, it felt I really had to mourn that it was coming out then. And then it ended up being really good. I mean, I felt like I could still connect with people. People were reading it, and it was really fun, despite a lot of really hard parts like homeschooling my kids and not being able to leave my house. It brought a lot of joy to me too, to put the book out then. And so that was a really fun surprise. It was a really fun surprise too, that people were even buying poetry. I thought for sure it was bad timing. There's just so much going on. And I know that poetry can often be a balm. And I think that's what it ended up being. But I was concerned that it was just not good timing. And then I Hope This Finds You Well. I did not mean to put a book out 1 year later. Mary kind of had to talk me into this one. So that comes out again in a pandemic, maybe. I don't know. Everyone should get their vaccines. I'm sure the audience here is mostly on board with that. But I did not mean to put it out another book 1 year later, but it comes out November 9th, and it's erasure poems. And I keep saying, I never, 5 years ago, I never would have expected that I'd be publishing a book of poetry with What Kind of Woman. And then a year ago, I never would have expected I would be publishing erasure poetry. So it's also a huge surprise. I really had to be talked into it, but I'm so glad people are enjoying it. It was a much different experience to write, but I think people will connect with it. And also it's just like a snapshot of time, I think, because so much of it is based on current events.
Yeah. And for viewers who maybe aren't familiar with erasure poetry and maybe what you were doing, where you were pulling all of this from, could you give them an overview of what it is and what the source is for your poetry in this collection?
Yeah, sure. A lot of times people call it blackout poetry just because those terms are kind of ambiguous sometimes. But this is original text that words are erased. There's nothing rearranged. It's just words that are erased. And so the way we kind of did it, I first started doing it online. It was really interesting that Jayne talked about self-publishing first, because I basically did that with both of these books first, just in a different way. Just by putting them out there first online and then publishing them through Harper. But this is how it appears in the book, you can kind of see the original text and then the erased part there. It's more of a visual poetry than the first book, which is also different for me.
Can I ask a question? So, can you talk about people say, some people I have read have said that erasure poetry is so, it has got to be easier than writing a poem, and then there's this big online argument about it, and I'm of the school, I'm sure, that it is anything but easy, because so I would love to hear from your perspective, what is that like? Because your erasure poems pack such a punch. And so can you just talk about that?
Sure. I see where those arguments come from, in that you're not looking for you're not coming up with some of the nouns and verbs. I think that just creates a different difficulty. I think it's just different. You're really limited when it comes to content. And so that's what's difficult. Honestly, what was most difficult was reading through so many messages and so many transcripts and so many billboards and so many whatever to try to find content and throwing it out because there wasn't enough nouns and verbs, like just the logistics behind making these poems. There's so much that couldn't be included. So that was difficult. And then what we did have, it's just different. Yeah.
I actually would think that the most difficult thing, again, trying to put myself into your shoes, which is an impossibility, but to have the to have these notes, these emails, these messages, many of them not very nice, to put it mildly, and then to extract from that the powerful message that you can pull from that to me seems like not so much the words are there, but to have the like the depth and the I don't even know what the word is, but to go in there and to, instead of shutting it down, and of course you wanted to do that, just delete,
Yeah,
get
sure.
rid of it. That's easier than to look at it and to say, all right, I'm going to pull some words out of this that already exist in that order. And within this message, I'm going to take this nasty thing and make it a pretty thing, make it a beautiful thing, make it a strong thing, an empowering thing. That to me is genius.
Yeah. I mean, that was hard. I don't read reviews. This beautiful piece just came out in the Guardian. I didn't read it. I didn't read the New York Times article. I don't read anything. And so it's kind of funny that I read these because there's so many of them are so terrible. At this point, when I am asked to read through these and I read them out loud, they don't bother me as much. But when I was writing the book and editing it and creating these poems, it was very difficult. Writing What Kind of Woman kind of felt like it was so cathartic and it was difficult, but it felt like this is everything I've always wanted to say. And writing this was very depressing. I felt very sad most of the time. I wanted it to be over. I kept countdowns, like I can pan this in and then I don't have to look at it again for a long time. It was very difficult in that way to read them back to back. That was what was so hard. It's one thing to look at one, but then to look at 15 or 20 in a day, it's sickening. And we were already living in a very sick place. I mean, literally sick. I wrote a lot of this in the parking lot of Panera because I was using their Wi-Fi because I couldn't write it at home because my kids were home. They couldn't go to school and I didn't have an office like I do now. And so I had to go to Panera and sit in the parking lot and I propped my laptop up on my steering wheel and I'm like reading through all these terrible messages and it was just gross. Like I would go home for the day and just feel very sad and hopeless. I don't feel that way anymore, but when I look at this book, but it did take me a minute to get over just writing it in general. It just was so different than writing What Kind of Woman.
I can't imagine it, really. I mean, the strength that it must have taken to go back to it and to, you know, to look at this and to think, what's going on out there in the world? Why are there messages like this out there? Why? What is this about? And then to extract something from it, to turn it on its head.
Yeah.
It's just so strong. How do you feel about it now? So you say you don't feel the way you did then, but how do you feel about it? I mean, you know, do you
Well,
embrace it like we do?
I mean, I think when you write a book and then it's done, I don't sit here and read this. So I'm mostly talking about it. I'm not really looking at it anymore. I'm not looking at the contents. We did have a conversation, Mary and I, writing this, like, should we put some positive things in here? Because it feels like it's going to be a real downer. And I didn't want to mostly because the positive ones are like nice things about me. So it feels very weird. I am glad we included some of those. So there are some nice things in there, but those are still so beautiful to read. I feel fine about it. I expect a lot of questions on like internet culture when it comes out, so I'm trying to prepare myself for that.
Oh, well, I'm glad you put the positive ones in, because I mean, you deserve it, and it's nice as a reader to read these lovely things too, because
so it's not so hopeless.
Well, I mean, yeah, it balances it out, I think.
Yeah.
Chris, I'm sorry, you have questions?
Well, I think maybe just for context, it might be really interesting. I know you have a poem you wanted to read, Kate. Should we do that? And I think it will help contextualize kind of some of the things that you're dealing with. I mean, I do think these are heavy burdens to bear. You speaking about that, it feels heart-wrenching, but the words on the page are beautiful, and I think that's an incredible turn. So would you mind reading?
No, not at all.
Do we want to show the images full and
sure,
left page, right page while Kate reads it? I think that might be kind of cool. What do you think?
Yes. Let's see.
I don't know if we can show both at the same time, can we?
Let's see. This.
Okay. There we go.
Oh, wait. All right. There we go.
I'm about to record the audiobook of this, so I've been practicing my Chad voice, but I don't think I have it perfected here.
I'll give it a shot.
This will be some good practice. This one's called When Chad is a Dad. I think it's funny how much you hate men and then go ahead and have this husband like he doesn't apply. Not buying your book, but if I was, I would get it for my daughters to show them how not to be. Even though you'll never see this, it's worth sharing. Not all women think like you or believe men are inherently against women. They might even say they appreciate men. Can't fathom this? Maybe read a book outside your What Kind of Woman bubble. Sincerely, a man who believes his daughters can be both independent and polite. It's funny how men go ahead and have daughters, even though they can't fathom what daughters can be.
Chills.
Chills.
Yeah. Or that came to my mind.
Brilliant. Brilliant and powerful. And like I say, I don't know how you are able to do that. The mindset and the wherewithal, but you do.
Well, I do like to tell people I'm no longer taking submissions, so I don't need anyone to feel inspired to send me these messages anymore. I delete them now. I still a few pop through, but I don't intend to keep making those.
Yeah. Mary, what was that like when? I mean, do you have any thoughts on how you balanced out the poems, the submissions, and what Kate has done with them? I bet there's a ton that are not in there. It's got to be.
Yeah, there are. I mean, we definitely winnowed it down, and I mean, Kate is just such a like prolific writer. She can write so many poems. For even now, we're working on her next full length that will be the sort of companion to What Kind of Woman, and she's just able to write so much. So it's always a process of going through and deciding I mean, they're all good, but like best, absolute best, and like ones that might need a little work, or ones that maybe post on Instagram only or whatever. But yeah, with this one, I mean, there was such an obviously a huge amount of negative stuff, and then there were these really positive messages that, you know, Kate's so humble, but writers saying how happy they were that she was writing what she was writing and doing what she was doing. And I think what's really special about the ones that are included is that it's a lot of times people writing about how they feel empowered by her work. So it's just like what Kate's work has meant to them and how they've applied it to their lives. And what's also really cool in the book are the, you know, speeches and public documents that Kate made poems from, which I think are some of the coolest, and just in interesting ways that she's able to, I don't know, I mean, yeah, what you said, that sort of like instinct to look at something and extract feeling that I would never have seen in any of these things. And it's wild. It's like you'll read one side and have like when you're reading the Chad side just now, I'm like so pissed. I could like it makes me so angry. And then it's like from that content, you read your poem and it's like I have chills and just feel so, it's like such an empowering message. So yeah, it's a special book. And I know it was I felt it's, you know, it's hard. It was a really hard process for Kate. And I just know that readers will really appreciate it. So, I mean, we all thank you for having to mine through some really nasty stuff.
Yeah. Yes, thank you. It's a good reminder to say that, because you did have to mine through a lot of nasty stuff, but out of it came beauty. So thank you. We could do a bunch of those, but people are like, comments are like, whoa, that was amazing. And somebody said they weren't sure about erasure poetry. So this is a wonderful conversation, you know, just to sort of let people know what this is, but it's only a gifted person that can do this. This is not, you know, for anybody. Chris, we have some questions, yes? From our friends?
Do. Yes. So let's see. Our friend Lillian Dabney out in Seattle says, do you have a running theme amongst your erasure poems? And if so, what is your process in crafting them? She's so intrigued.
A running theme, I'm not sure if I could name that at the moment. But as far as the process goes, I try to look at what the original message is trying to say. You know, there are a bunch like from spam emails about losing weight. And so in that example, I'm kind of looking at what it's trying to say. And then I try to reshape it into something that is giving not a better message, but a different message. I mean, logistically, I scan for usable words, if that's what she's asking. That is a lot of it. And then, you know, so many have to be thrown out because there aren't, you know, those usable words. But yeah, I try to look for usable words and then craft something that is kind of a response to the original content.
I'm curious, and you spoke about this, I think, a little bit in the intro to the book, but like, how long have you been doing this? Did it change how you approach words and sentences as a whole when you're looking through like bulk words for your specific sentences?
I've been doing it like 5 minutes. I mean, it's so short that I've been doing this. And so it does change things, especially during the writing process. I was looking at everything differently. And I definitely look at things, especially when I'm driving, especially as a passenger, looking at billboards. I know there's so few words, but I find myself in moments where I'm not like concentrating, or spam emails that come in. I'm often scanning those. I started this not that long ago, a year ago. It felt like a party trick at first, like, oh, I'm just going to erase some of these words and change it around. And then it grew into a book. So yeah, it was quite a surprise.
Let's see. And I know Mary hinted at your next collection. So friend Kimberly McGee says, after writing very different poetry collections, do you have an idea about what your next book will be about?
I'm so excited to go back to poetry. I don't know what to call it, regular poetry. Yeah, there is no title or anything else to say at the moment, but I've been working on it and I am really excited. I can't wait to announce that and to think more about that. I'm right in the middle of writing that. So yeah, it'll be more like What Kind of Woman.
Good. Well, anything you write will be great. And everybody get vaccinated.
Everybody get vaccinated so that I can go on a book tour. That would be great. I would love to not cancel again. So
Oh my goodness.
if we could get vaccinated, then I can do that.
Yeah.
And visit a library even. Yeah.
So sorry. So sorry. Abby Burke says, I can't imagine the mental toll this could have taken. Unreal to turn negatives into something beautiful. Just, that bravery and that willingness to put yourself in that fire is really something that I think needs to be when we are acknowledging. Yes. Much love here for you and this book. And I wish we, I don't know, is there anything else that we want to touch base on before we wrap it up and bring Jayne back? I don't know. I do want to read this last sentence that's in the author's note that appears in the beginning of this beautiful book. And you're talking about the comments and the threads and the spam marks and that everything is yours and you haven't changed anything and you've not changed names, blocked things out for privacy. But you say that in the end, you hope that by sharing these pieces, we continue to hold on to the truths that sustain us. And when we do encounter the inevitable noise, we turn our ears to hear the song. And I just love that. I think that's so beautiful. And that's really what you've done here in a very brilliant way, in a heartfelt way, and an important. It's important. It's powerful. I can't think of another word for it, really.
Thank you.
But it resonates with so many. Thank you for what you've done here. Do we have Lillian Dabney says that this is inspirational. There's just a lot of love here for you and for what you've done here. So, and if you go on Edelweiss, there are a few more sample pages there that you can see. So, instant #1 bestseller with What Kind of Woman. And now I hope this finds you well. Goes on sale, I believe, in November. Is that right, Chris? November.
That's correct. Yes.
And Mary, how cool. We're hanging out with Mary.
Very cool.
Thanks for this important work that you've done. Is there anything you want to say, Kate, before we to librarians, or just in general before we bring Jayne back?
I love librarians. That's what I would like to say. I love librarians. I love what they do. I was just there. I checked out this book, Sorrow and Bliss. Super psyched to read it. Super psyched.
So good.
Probably
So
Mary
good.
told me to read this. Anyway, I just was at the library this morning and I got this. So very excited to read that. And all the work you do to provide people with different kinds of literature that they might not normally read.
There you go. Well, librarians, add this to it. I know you have because you already have the first one and everybody's waiting for this one. So congratulations. So should we bring Jayne back?
Sure.
And end the way we started together?
Hi, Jayne.
Jayne. Welcome back.
Together again. Hi, Kate.
Hi. I'm so glad we were able to connect, and I loved hearing about your journey. It's really incredible.
Me too. Hi, Kate.
Hi.
Oh, Jayne,
Oh.
I loved
Yeah,
hearing.
just turn off the Facebook live broadcast because then
Oh.
we're getting the.
Oh my
Perfect.
God.
Loved all of that.
Thank you.
That's all?
I know. I was like, what is going on? That's okay. Like I have officially gone crazy. Okay, no, I get it. Kate, your courage is so inspiring to me. And I just think it is amazing. This is like kind of my early days as an artist. And to hear you make the most beautiful lemonade out of lemons that people have thrown at you is so
Yeah.
inspiring.
Oh, that's so nice. Yeah. It's been weird. That's what I'll say.
It's
But good
brilliant.
too. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah. Well, it was wonderful to have both of you on and together in the beginning. And we don't typically, wind up together, but it just felt like, oh, it would be nice to, as I said in the beginning, you're both women of wonderful, brilliant, brave words. And it was so lovely to have you on and to introduce you to each other and
Thank
to
you for
introduce you to librarians and they to you. So, yeah, that's it. If there's anything else that anybody wants to say, we've got lots of comments in the chat room here. They're mostly just so much love. And Kimberly McGee says, thank you all and congratulations on 2 wonderful books. Just people are saying what a wonderful presentation this was. So there we are. If there's anything else, our pub dates one last time are, I hope this finds you well, in November. Correct. And Black Girls Must Die Exhausted in September. Correct. And there they are.
Oh,
Beautiful.
Beautiful. They look very nice together, actually.
they do look really, they're beautiful together.
They would make a great gift set.
Oh, yes.
Just a few months apart. We wait
Yeah.
anxiously for them to hit the bookshelves and the librarian shelves. And thank you both so much. And Mary, thank you so much for coming to the screen and joining
Thanks
in the
for having
conversation.
me. Nice meeting you, Jayne. Thank you, everyone.
It's so nice
Thank you,
meeting you.
everyone.
See you next
Thank
time.
you.
And,
Thank you
folks,
for this.
Thank you. This
Thanks
was
for
just
joining.
terrific.
Bye.
And we hope we see you all on Thursday. We'll have Don Winslow on to talk about
Awesome.
his new books. Yes. So come back on Thursday. We'll see you all then at 2:00. Until then, take care, everyone. Be well.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.